Carla. Thanks for being here, and please give a little bit more of an introduction to yourself.
Yeah, so I'm the CTO and co-founder of Babbly. We have developed a platform to monitor language development and help parents get recommendations into how to encourage healthy language development, and also how to understand what could be the red flags in terms of development.
That's amazing. And Stan, describe the study that you did with HITLAB. So can you just provide an overview of the key findings from this new study on infant development?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so before that, let me tell you that the reason why those findings are important, right? So 1 in every 5 children is at risk of speech and language disorders. And some of them will end up having developmental delays or disorders. But monitoring language development is not easy when on the early ages, when there's no words yet, right? If you're not an expert, which most parents aren't, obviously. And even pediatricians don't really have the time to monitor these insights during the visits, because they have to monitor all the other developmental aspects, right? So while it's very well known and researched that all the infants develop language following the same milestones, like from birth to when they start speaking, there's the same milestones regardless of language or cultural location. While that's well known, identifying them and knowing that if they're happening on time, or if it's a red flag, or is something worth waiting, that's the hard part, right? So that's what the study is about. We develop an AI to identify those milestones. And the key result, to answer your question now, the key result is that the accuracy in identifying those key milestones is 91%, with just 2 to 4 audio recordings of infants from 30 seconds to 1 minute. And some of those milestones are, for example, canonical babbling is being related to a higher likelihood, the lack of or delay of canonical babbling relates to a higher likelihood of developmental disorders. So being able to identify that with 91% accuracy makes it a powerful tool for tracking.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing kind of the inspiration as to behind why this study was, this very important study was performed. And you mentioned that you utilized AI, and you also mentioned that, there were 30 seconds or 1 minute audio clips. How were they further assessed, or what was the process in kind of just assessing those developmental milestones further to produce those outcomes you mentioned?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, HITLAB hired up to 5 independent SLPs, speech language pathologists, and each audio was analyzed by 3 of them independently, assessing which were the milestones that they, as experts, hear in those audio.
Okay, amazing. And then what were some of the challenges that the research team faced while conducting this study, and how did they kind of overcome some of those challenges?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think first challenge is always recruitment. I guess that's a known thing. It's not easy to recruit. We're recruiting babies, basically infants of a very young age. It is true that it was all remote and they didn't need to go into the lab, but it's not always easy to find like those families that have so many other things to do around. And the second one was to finding experts to identify those milestones. Like we said, like not everyone, we couldn't hire just like regular annotators. Not everyone can really hear like with so much detail like what's going on, right? So yeah, with the help of HITLAB, we hired the correct people.
Well, absolutely. I know the HITLAB was very excited to help overcome some of those challenges. And how can other people, involved in individuals and organizations find the full details of these studies and learn more about its outcomes? Or where can they go to connect with you and learn more about this study?
Yeah, we published a white paper of the study in our website, which is babbly.co, babbly.co, and it's in our blog, and we put all the details in there, including like all the references.
Amazing, thank you. And what do you see as the next step? How can this research be used to launch into the next phase, or what are the plans for future development of the outcomes that you learned from this study?
Mm-hmm. Well, next step for us is going into diagnosis, right? Now we know that we're able to detect those very important milestones. Now, how can we accurately say this is the right time for an intervention, or this is the right time to maybe get like a second, like a full assessment on language development, or all that, to act early, because right now those things happen usually very late, and like language disorders are usually diagnosed after 1 or 2 years of age, and we want to bring them down to 9 months.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And if people want to connect with you on LinkedIn, or any other versions of symposiums or summits or talks coming up on your end, or what's in the future for you specifically?
Well, we don't have any symposiums at the moment, but yeah, I'll share my LinkedIn in the chat, and I'll publish anything. But yeah, our work is gonna be continuing into language development and going into diagnosis.
That's amazing. Well, thank you very much for sharing everything. I hope that you engage with HITLAB again in the future. We really appreciate partners such as yourself and some of the various speakers that have engaged with us today. And so hopefully that through working with HITLAB, you will be able to produce those results and share them, and take those next step for you all. And again, thank you so much. Have you ever given a talk on a Women's Health Tech Wednesday at HITLAB?
No, I haven't.
All right. Well, I certainly think there's something in the future for you to
Okay.
continue to, provide access to a podium where you can share all the amazing work that you're doing at Babbly. And we really appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with us today.
Thank you.